Absolutely. I talked to a friend's son. We're old when you have your, friends' kids are all in sales, mine included. But I had a friend's son, Jack Norton, I talked to last night, and trying to pick my brain for different things. But kind of just what you said. I said, hey, go to your CRO, go to your CMO, say, I want time with you. I want feedback, and what does success look like for you? What advice can you give me? And by the way, if they decline, probably not a company you want to work at. So you're modeling that behavior. He, I think, is at Zoom Info, coincidentally. And then other thought I just had as well is I know you're from our prep session, you're in the midst of implementing Gong, but a couple of cool features there around the training is with the call recording, you can have best practices. So whether it's a experienced enterprise rep or GAM, or somebody who's just new onboarding, that new rep that you just talked to, there'll be a kind of whole bunch of talk tracks and best practices that you'll eventually have. So that way, then that inside sales rep, wherever they are, can be able to, hear and listen and leverage a lot of that, as a recording. And there's a whole bunch of other great stuff that Gong does. So I think you'll be able to enjoy that over time. So we're getting backlogged here. Sorry, Tucker. So we got Tucker behind the scenes as always. So we had Jesse saying this is awesome. Totally agree. So Jesse's question was, Costa, what do you think of cold calling? Is it finally dead?
Well, I don't think it is. And, we have a team that does outreach. You got to reach out with email and phone. I think it's about being effective in what you say when you get someone. I get cold called a lot. And, I can tell you when I give more time is when they do an effective job of understanding that they know who the heck I am. They've done their homework on me and understand what they think my issue should be, being a public company versus a non-public, all those wonderful things. If they do their homework and they're sincere, and I'll give them a couple minutes and we can talk and listen. And, I'm very rarely going to buy something over the phone, right? But, catch my interest and then making sure that they get to the right people and organization to help. So I think it's important. Pipeline is lifeline. You need funnel. You got to figure out a way to get new clients to want to have a conversation with you. And so I think that's one mechanism. I don't think it's going to die. There may be some other effective ways, SEO and digital and other pieces that come. But yeah, you got to get people that do that.
Totally. And then especially you can leverage, which, any company that's, starting to get new customers, just kind of reference checking, right? Just, again, it's an old school thing. And that is another great idea from it might be old school reference cell is, when you're talking to somebody, okay, who else do you know? Who else would be interested in this? Which seems to be, so it's that's probably a warm cold calling type thing, but something that, likewise, I think is really lost these days a lot. Okay, so now let's see. Ross Taylor says cold calling will never be dead. And then Michelle says, hi, Costa, I'm an aspiring CRO. Awesome. Currently an SDR. Love that. Trying to become a CRO seems like such a far place to come from as a woman in sales. How do you get more women into sales roles?
Yeah, I love hiring women, especially women athletes. And I've got 2 daughters, and they're hopefully aspiring salespeople as well. So
can I buy some stock in them?
Yeah. We hope they're gonna be successful. I know they're gonna work really hard at it. I think it's whatever you want to do and become, you can. Doing the things we just discussed. I started as almost an inside sales rep. It was the small account groups and working hard, working smart, preparing, executing on the role that you're given, and letting your team, your manager know that you want to do more, you aspire to do more. So, over delivering on the current role will give you an opportunity to grow. There's nothing worse than attrition, right? And people leaving, because in our world, year one, you're about 50% as productive as you're going to be in year 2. So the goal is to get everyone to year 2 and beyond. And the longer you're with the company, the better you become and the more you deliver. So people want to keep you. And there's nothing better to grow somebody from the inside to take on more responsibility, because now you have more range, you've done different things. So most companies would love to have a strong, aspiring woman that wants to go run sales. That would be an awesome thing. And we love to hire them. So man or woman. But I just think that if you do the things that you know to do, you're going to have a great career, and get some mentors that want to help you. Don't be proud to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. And that's our job. Our job is to help our team get better. And they love to, people have mentored me all the way through my career, and the kind words that John said about me earlier. I mean, those great. I was very thankful for the time he took in developing me and helping me take a role, even though I left his org and went to another org because he wanted to see me grow.
Yeah. So I think, Michelle, some of the comments that we had before around, anybody, if you take a look at the path that Costa and I had, you can definitely get there. And I think in terms of women in sales, you kind of there is what there is now. I always say, hey, we have to go back into the college ranks and say, hey, this is a great profession. Women can easily be, much better than men. And then the next thing I'm about to say is probably controversial, but I'd argue it's much easier to become a CRO now than it's ever been, as a woman, just because everybody's so starved for that diversity perspective. So I think you almost have a this is not going to come out right, but you have an unfair advantage versus others. So take advantage of the opportunity, be a sponge, learn, develop, kind of figure it out, all the things that we just talked about. So certainly sky's the limit. And we both know, lots of women over the years that are, fantastic. Definitely need more of them. Rick says, don't be nervous. Ross says, on fire. Thanks for that. Rick says, ask Randy about his throne in the beer. So this is our, so this is actually I have another office where I go to, but for whatever reason, Tucker and I have found this spot is kind of the best for signal strength. So thanks, Rick. Appreciate that. Love you too. Rick, thanks. The compliment. Rick says, amen, Ross Taylor. And then Rick says, in the early days in EMC, we called those sales call debriefs curbside conferences. Absolutely. And I think that can just to reinforce again, I mean, every single sales call I would go on, I was at HP. We did a lot to try and change the culture, focus, sales calls amongst a lot of other things. And then I'd go on a sales call and I'd say, do you have any feedback for me? And the person would be like, what do you mean? I've never had an executive ask for feedback. Like, absolutely. And then, they may or may not say something. I'd say, hey, by the way, can I give you some feedback? Right. So it's like every single call you take advantage, as you said, any call, any presentation you're at, any sales call, notes that you see, proposals. I mean, everything's a coaching opportunity. And if you're that individual rep, whether it's you're a rep, DM, director, VP, you can always, when I was an SVP, I'd be asking, Mark Hurd, rest in peace, Dave Donatelli, whoever, hey, what feedback do you have for me? You just have to be a constant kind of student of the game. Oh, you may not agree with what they say, may not like it, but you definitely got to get it. And likewise, then kind of put that perspective back down. And then Ross, so thanks, Rick. Ross says, being a business that covers so many verticals, legal, financial services, accounting, consulting, et cetera, there's actually a lot you don't cover. How do you stay up with all the trends going on within each one? So you really need to be deep, maybe cover I think it's kind of the legal, the financial services side where you are, but because you're only in a small amount, I would imagine you have to be really, really deep, as opposed to if you're Ross at Outreach, you go across every industry and you're not expected to be the expert. So how do you make sure you're the expert?
Yeah, so that's a good point. And I think that's part of the value prop of our company. When I didn't know much about the partner-led professional and financial services industries, really the 6 verticals we focus on, before I got into it. And I had worked at a lot of different companies, and the large horizontal players aren't good in this space. There's a reason for that, because, I'll kind of transition into what's the difference. And this, I think, is a great segue into like the professional and financial services, how they're different.
Yeah, we might as well talk about the topic at some point here, but so go ahead.
Yeah. So when Randy was asking me, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, there's a lot of really smart guys and gals that have done a lot of like, what should I talk about? And so this was unique because I didn't understand it. And I got hired in to be to lead the sales team, and I didn't know it. Right. So I had to learn it really quickly. And what I've discovered is that in this world of legal, accounting, consulting, private capital, investment bank, and real estate, they're different because they don't make a product, right? So like if you think about everything else, we make software and other, whether you're making, kitchen appliances or what have you, you make stuff. In this world, the product is the knowledge and experience that these people have to try to drive an outcome, right? So and it's teams that come together to go pursue something because they have the experience. Someone's looking to do structured finance or a leveraged buyout, or they want to buy or sell a company. Who's done in my industry these deals? So that's what you're selling, that I can help you accomplish what your goal is. And so different. So it's a different set of skills since you don't make things. That's number one. The next thing that's really different about these businesses is how they're organized. In most companies, there's a C-suite, few people. They're focused in department. They make a decision. And think of a law firm. More than half the people are lawyers and partners that actually do the work, and they own the firm, right? And it's a cash-based business. They distribute all the profits at the end of the year. And there are business service suite professionals work at the pleasure of the partners. And there's a lot of people who can say no because they own the firm. And it's very different. It's different from that structure, what they make, how they're structured. The ecosystem is very complex and of these investors and advisors, and the relationship strength that you trust that person and they're the repeat business and be able to cross-serve them with more practice areas if you're successful is huge. Very similar to other business, but one knowledge professional solving a problem, then allowing their partner who's a specialist in another area to get is just a different way. And then they're heavily regulated. You just can't take on any work that you want. There's a lot of compliance and conflicts checks, et cetera, on the work you can take. And if you take it on, how do you ethically wall off the data from everyone in your firm? They can't know things about an M&A deal, or that would get out and be really, really bad. And so how do you manage the compliance and the confidentiality? And then taking on and billing for that work and the different fee structures. So it's a highly complex. People, the large great software companies of Salesforce and SAP and Oracle, they don't make software for these guys. Our clients, either they build their own stuff, which in today's day is not a good idea, usually, or they buy stuff and they customize it, costs a lot of money. Or that's why vertically oriented SaaS companies, what Viva's done, what Guidewire's done, what Encino's done, what Duck Creek's done, and now what we've done to be specialists. So, about us, we know the business model and we hire. So some of our salespeople and our financial services go-to-market team are former bankers, former private equity guys and gals that who did the work and now are showing and say, look, I know all the problems you face. Let me show you how our software is built to solve and help you do more deals. How do you do better due diligence and execute? So being experts, purpose-built, using AI infused, and then being able to create this environment to solve the entire process flow to connect their people, process, and data. So it's just a whole different world. And how to get to a deal is very difficult because that's the point of view that you got to be smart about it. So that's why I've learned a lot. And so I thought I'd go off on a tangent there. So I got on my soapbox.
Awesome. No,
I'll get back off and sit down.
No, totally. I was going to say, if you need help with any executive intros or leadership, Goodwin Proctor in Boston, I know. God, where the hell's Bob Popio? And a couple others. Of course, I'm drawing a blank of it. And then, do you ever know or come across Mark Stevenson? He was just at Eversort. Jay Stevenson, who's Southern Californian's his brother.
Yeah, I know Jay pretty well. Yeah. I work with him at HP Software, and he's another Newport Beach guy. There's four software guys in Newport Beach.
Crazy. And anyway, where was I going? Oh, yeah. So Mark just left Eversort as CRO, and they sold into the law vertical, some contract SaaS, something or other. So there might be an interesting synergy there.
Thank you.
And then Jesse says EMC was the best sales training history of SaaS. Totally. I don't know if SaaS was a term there, but certainly in sales. And then Russ says, my dad leverages Intap at Dwayne Morris. He said they love it.
Thank you.
Did you know they're a customer?
Yeah, we do. In a lot, we've been doing this for a long time, and I think the 98 out of the top 100 law firms use one of more of our products, and we do a really good job in that vertical. And we could, obviously, we want to do better, and appreciate all the clients we have, and want to just continue to earn their trust every day because it's a subscription model. They can say no next year, and we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I know Crazy. So talking about like a land and expand. So is your sales model that you kind of go in, you get some footprint, and then you try and cross sell and upsell, and kind of how does that work with the same rep? Is there kind of a customer success type rep? Kind of what's the executive relationship? Kind of how's all that work?
Yeah. Yes, and yes. So we have three different. So I have a specialized legal sales team that just call on law firms. I have a specialized accounting team, just call on accounting teams. I have a specialized consulting team that just sells on consulting. And then we have a financial services team that calls on private capital, investment bank, and real estate firms. In our financial services vertical, we have a hunting and farming model. So we go out, we have a bunch of hunters that go land a client, and then we pass it over to an account manager to make sure that they stay satisfied, grow the footprint, because we don't traditionally get all the seats out of the gate. And then cross-sell the solution and make sure that they don't churn. So we have that hunting and farming and FS, and legal and accounting consulting, because we have big footprints. In legal, for instance, we have a managing director that does new business and account management, because like at Dwayne Morris and other places, everybody owns something. And the goal is to expand, right? So our goal is to plan proactively with that client, understand what they're trying to accomplish over the next 3 years, delight them with the existing software that they own from us and the experience, protect and never churn. We have world-class churn metrics, like retention is awesome for us, and then we earn the right to grow. So we have a plan. We try to plan with the executives in the firm where we don't have a piece of the solution, right? When people say, what does Intap do? What does our platform do? We help these investors and advisors in this ecosystem work on deals and disputes, matters and engagements. We help them pitch, price, and win new deals, onboard them in a compliant fashion, ethically walling off the data that's important, managing the actual engagement that they've agreed to, and then help them collect on the fees that they deserve, all in an industry cloud platform on Azure, and allow from the most senior leader of the firm to the person that's executing do their job more effectively so they can win more deals faster and execute that process. And so 13 different solutions around each of these pieces that we sell in suites and an entire platform. And the promise is if you use our stuff, right, you need like 3 or 4 systems, and we're the big system to help change the scoreboard and, better serve your clients.
Yeah. So also as an aside, if through LinkedIn, there's a whole boatload of private equity firms and leaders on there as well. So if you're ever checking LinkedIn and see a mutual connection, definitely don't hesitate to ask or reach out there. So while we're talking about the company, you guys had fantastic earnings back a few days ago. So maybe highlight some of that in terms of kind of where you're at and where you're heading.
Yeah, so we just announced on Monday, had a really good results, grew year on year about 30% on our revenue line, hit 300 million.
Don't you know there's a down economy?
Yeah, we're hiring, we're growing. So knock on wood, our business is strong. We've been a public company the last 6 quarters. We've beat and raised every quarter. And we expect to continue to grow. Our market is growing. Our ecosystem is growing, and we're having more success in our land and expand model. Our net retention revenue is growing considerably as well, beating our estimates. So, we're thankful to serve the clients we serve, and we continue to earn their trust. So our business is strong. We're growing. We're hiring. We're expanding to different geographies. And we're finding that this ecosystem, different industries, but they work together really effectively. And so there's great synergies across.